Hey, y'all. Figured I'd hop on here for a moment and talk about a couple of topics on my mind. One being that you don't get anywhere by working easy. You only get somewhere in life when you work hard. So, what does that mean? To me, that means that the easy path is the wrong path. Because if you're not willing to struggle, you're not willing to reap the proper rewards from the experience you gain to the challenges you overcome. That's one thing that's on my mind. Another thing is, what is truly success? Well, I want to say it's having a roof over your head, a job that pays the bills, food in your stomach, and power at your home, and the ability to clean yourself whenever you wish. Finally, I feel like I have not achieved anything outside of doing two parts of a course that's 2 years long. There's only two parts at the beginning. I feel kind of outpaced. I know I need to sit back and actually do my work, but I don't know quite yet what what goals I truly have. I'm just gonna put myself out there on that because, like, I've watched this whole the whole controversy with Biden, which honestly I don't like the guy. I didn't vote for him. I've watched the Texas border incident, which honestly is the precipice of a civil war. I mean, it's not that far away from being a civil war. At the rate it's going, it can escalate rather quickly. And we all know you don't mess with the South. The South will fight. And Texans, when they hold out, they can hold out for quite some time. Now, I've seen that. I've seen the Hamas thing. The whole Russia versus Ukraine. Russia versus pretty much the whole world, including them trying to claim Alaska again. And I hate to say this, but they're not going to get very far with that. Now, with all this going on, how screwed is this world? Well, I'll tell you right now that I don't believe it's beyond the point of redemption. But what I do believe is that no matter what they try, no matter what they do, they're never going to find an end to the situation. So here's here's my big key points on this. One, we need to get that kitty diddler out of office. I'm going to say what's on everybody's mind. He has weakened our borders. He has weakened our own infrastructure. He has injured our economy far worse than any president I have seen within my lifetime. Now, given a president does have authority, but he's more or less a puppet leader for Congress and the Senate. But when you have a president who takes charge, he's not a puppet. He's not controlled by anybody, and he thinks on his own. That's the kind of president we need. We need one who can understand corporate America. Because at the end of the day, every single position within our military is classified as a job. From cleaning the latrines to arming the nukes. It's all a job. Therefore, it is in the employment and business category. And in business, diplomacy is a must because you have to be a good salesman and a good leader to make it anywhere in business. So we need that kind of individual in. If we had one with previous experience in the military, even better, especially if they were on the front line. Now, with our borders being weak, we're pretty much at each other's throats because we're trying to let in so many people who are military age, especially with the male ratio. I forget the numbers, but I know they can easily be accessed because I want to say it's like 70%, anywhere from 60 to 80% of the people crossing illegally are males between the ages of 18 and 45, which is our extended draft age. Now, with that being said, our enlistment age cuts out at 35, but our draft age goes all the way up to 45. So therefore, we, as the American people, if you're under 45, you're technically still a member of the United States militia. Because if someone kicks down your front door, I don't care who you are, you're going to fight. Well, unless you're a pushover. But we've allowed so many people through that we should be doubling down, securing our borders, and improving the quality of life for everyone in the United States, the legal citizens. Instead of panicking over a misconception of an AR, what AR represents as a firearm, when all it is a multi-layered platform. You have different calibers, you have different ranges, you have different mounts, you have different body styles. It's just a platform. Kind of like how YouTube is a platform and Facebook is a platform. So I'm going to make that reference there. On gun laws, I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. In fact, this flag that is kind of blinded out by the light actually states 1775 and 1776. Now, 1776 is when we actually started our Second Amendment, if I remember correctly. It's got a few other dates on there too, but it states we the people of the United States have the right to bear arms for our own protection from our enemies, both foreign and domestic, and to not be controlled by a tyrannical government. Now, I'm paraphrasing that because I do not have a copy of it here that I can read directly to you. But I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment because I'm sorry, I don't care if you're the Queen of England, King of England now. If you kick in my door and you try to harm someone I care about, I will protect my home for God and country. Now, back on topic here. For all those liberal, anti-gun neo-Nazis, you're literally stuck on a misconception. Now, yes, if a felon wanted to get a gun, there are ways he can go out of his way to work outside of the law to get a firearm. There are many different avenues. But that's where the law-abiding citizens who have to suffer with these bad apples get all the headache. I'm a firm believer every God-fearing, Bible-reading, Pledge of Allegiance speaking, honor-bound American, us blue-collared hard workers, should have the right to have a firearm, which we do. We stay out of trouble. We do not use it unless it must be used. We show respect to law enforcement. Because, I'm sorry, if you look at the level of injuries that occur in England by stabbing-related incidents, you'll see that there is a major difference. Because in the U.S., there's a lot of shootings, yes. But if you go overseas, not so much on the shooting. But now look at their stabbing fatalities, their stabbing injuries. There's a lot more of that, plus bludgeons. So, right there, y'all are idiots, in my book. I will respect the knowledge y'all have procured. I will respect your point of view. But please, respect mine. Because in your point of view, I'm a gun-toting, fear-mongering moron. So, it is what it is. Now, with our political issues, we do need a businessman who knows how to run a company. Because it's, at the end of the day, every single job in the United States, every single part of the government is a job that you must uphold to agreement of contract. And our current president, if you want to call him that, he sure ain't doing it. Not for the American people. Now, the whole war situation with Russia. Hate to say this, but we are facing a World War III. We're literally walking up to it as it is right now. We're trying to stay out of it, but yet we're supplying weapons to it. We're supplying soldiers to it. Now, the only reason why it isn't a world war yet is that the world has not declared full-out war. But it is a known war that multiple countries, multiple superpowers are at stake. And America has become weak and pig-headed. I mean, now we argue over how many genders, when biologically speaking, there's only 2. Because, well, 3 if you count a hermaphrodite, which isn't all that uncommon. It is kind of rare, but it does happen. So with that being said, why are we focusing on gender and sex? To me, that's irrelevant information. It's irrelevant. Because what you want to be called, okay, that's fine and dandy. It's like picking a nickname. Who really cares? If you show me respect, I will show you respect in turn. But the moment you start demanding it from me, and you refuse to respect my point of view, I have no need to show you that respect. Because, quite frankly, you don't deserve it. But America is so distracted over that we're ignoring 99% of the issues that we should be worried about. Now, I'm not saying, hey, you're 18 years old, go and enlist. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, put all these dang arguments to bed already. Because, like, when you go to a hospital, they go to your biological gender to decide what medicines and how is the best method to treat you. The reason being is there are medications that affect males that can kill females, and vice versa. There are medications that a female can take that will ruin a man's life, biological man. Now, with that being said, it leaves a lot of controversy, doesn't it? Because medically speaking, you're one or the other. In rare cases, you're both. And even then, your medications are tailored to that. And we have to respect that. Now, I mentioned something about police earlier. Do you know how many cops actually go out there and work a job to better the community versus hurt it? Yes, there are tyrannical cops out there. I will not deny that. But at the end of the day, what about all the good cops who actually try to help you? Like, I've seen a lot of these people do the activate their First Amendment, and then they use their Fourth Amendment right. They use every right in the book, which is perfectly legal. But I do believe that sometimes it is crossing the line. You know, if the cop approaches you friendly and understands your side, and all he wants to do is know the name to call you by. You know, it's kind of wrong. They're people too, aren't they? They will identify themselves to you, outside of the ones who are tyrannical. I will not refuse my ID to an officer of the law for one reason. I don't want to trigger some form of probable cause that is a bunch of BS and catch a charge over nothing. So, right there, every cop I have met in my life, I have met a few pig-headed cops. Yes, I've had a gun drawn on me. But I'm also 6'4", 270 pounds, male, who has a somewhat muscular build. I look pretty intimidating. Right there. If the cop is smaller than me and a female, I totally understand the gun being drawn. Because they're trying to protect themselves. Just like I would if I was doing the same job. Now, given if I was in their shoes, being a 5'6" woman against a 6'4" tall man who was built like me, I would know that that man could hit me hard enough to almost kill me. Could easily knock me out. And then anything's possible. I may not make it home to my kids. So I understood from her point of view. Now, given I was a teenager, and the whole story behind that, I'll talk about one of these days. But I hold no grudges. Because I myself have had to draw a gun on somebody. I didn't want to, but it was the only way I could create space between me and them. They were attempting to rob me. So was I being tyrannical for defending my life? Now, some of these cops who just shoot without probable cause, okay, right there, those are tyrannical. They try to use their power and authority for their own gains. But now one female cop that did it to me where she drew, she didn't fire. Because I cooperated. Now, given that's been some years ago, but still, that's been about 15, 16 years ago. I hold no qualms or issues with that. There are cops out there who are very polite, very nice. There are some who are really friendly. They're not trying to get you in trouble. They're just trying to figure out who you are. And that's it. They're verifying your identity. So if you want to be pig-headed to them, they're going to be pig-headed to you. Because like me, show me respect and I will show you respect. If you do that to an officer of the law, you're well within your means. Given it doesn't mean that if you're doing something stupid, you're doing something stupid. You did the crime, you're going to do the time. Now, with all that being said, these are some thoughts that have been on my head. Because, I don't really watch the news. I don't stay up on current events. I noticed that our Department of Homeland Security has been impeached. And I'm going to say it's about damn time. Because I don't feel like he's been doing his job. So why do we still have a cabinet full of people who are more devoted to teaching our kids who don't even know what they want for lunch yet that they need to pick their gender identity now? Why are we so focused on that when we should be focused on our homeland defense? We should improve our teaching standards because I'm sorry, but in grade school, I don't believe those tablets are teaching kids much, especially if you allow them to go back and revise their studies to get higher grades. I do believe standardized testing should be reemployed. For instance, the MMAP. I forget what that acronym stood for, but a lot of people called it the MAP test. I remember taking that test, and my school was pretty good. It was the first school in the area that actually had a computer lab when they first started putting computers in school. Because literally in 5th grade, I was using a typewriter. But in 6th grade, I finally got to start an email. I finally had a computer in class. And yes, I did what every kid in the 90s did. I figured out how to work around the nanny system. But now, these kids, they spend more time on a computer. They don't know how hard it was to look through a textbook, to read page by page that textbook. They don't know how much we had to study to know what we did versus playing games on a computer and then flicking back over to your schoolwork. No, we didn't have that. Now, we should increase a teacher's salary. Teachers who actually teach, they do deserve proper pay. Because how much does the state actually give the school to do anything with? When you break down your utility costs and your overhead before salary and payroll, I believe that about 70 to 80% of the money that comes in from the state just goes into running costs of the school. And in that last little bit, only maybe 20 or 30% would actually go to, well, 20, 25%, something like that. Because I'm not even sure on the first number there. but I'm just going based off what I can see as a external individual. The only like 20 or 30% of the money coming from the state is going to the teachers. So why are they not being paid well enough? Well, now they have computers to add in, software, IT, repair costs. They just drove the cost of running a school up a lot more. Now, I understood during COVID having the computer to do your schoolwork at home. I kind of understand that, just because of how big a risk it was during the major point of the pandemic. But still, we're not in that point anymore. Most of us have antibodies in us now. So, with that being said, why are the teachers not being paid enough to actually teach? Okay? Now, with that being said, that's one point of view that I have. But I do have another counterpoint. Why are we being so lenient on all these punishments to men who touch little kids? And the women who do as well. I mean, if a 30-year-old man touches a 12-year-old girl, he goes to jail for a few years, and the inmates get to him. We're still a little lenient to them, just because I believe they deserve far worse. You know, being a parent myself, if you're a parent and you're afraid to catch a body to protect your kid, I'm sorry, you need to reevaluate how much you love that child. Because, like I told my ex wife, I loved my son more than her. The reason being is that is my child. I love both of them. But at the same time, my son is one half of me and one half of her. So nonetheless, I love her. But, mind you, this is from the point of view from prior to the divorce. My son, I will always love. I want him to succeed where I have failed. Today is his birthday. I posted a little short a while ago involving a happy birthday to him. Now, I'm willing to take more than a bullet to protect my son. I'm willing to suffer and self-torment to protect him. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to protect him. That's how a parent should think. To protect and to guide. That is the role of a parent. Now, I made a reference to a 30-year-old male touching a little girl. But here's a flip on that. Look at the average sentence that a woman gets. A 30-year-old woman who touches a 12-year-old boy. Where the man will get 8, 10, 12 years, the woman will only get 3 or 4. And usually they're out within that time frame, if not sooner. Don't you think that will scar the boy as well? Or are you a feminist who believes that all males only think with the head between their legs? I hate to tell you this, but I love women. I may be celibate. I may have chosen to be single. But I believe that all women, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for a woman, there would never be a man birthed. So why are we treating them? Why do we treat them the way we do? Chivalry is a really old method of showing respect to a woman. Now, given, I do believe that there is a code of conduct. But no woman is lower than a man, and no man is lower than a woman. So we should show that respect. Now, I'm speaking from the biological terms, because I really don't know how this would apply to the transgender community. So, it could apply to them as well. I don't know. I'm not in that bracket. I am a completely straight white male. But I do not judge them. They have their own beliefs, they have their own wishes, and they have their own goals. It's good for them. Because I know quite a few gay people. I know a few lesbians. Heck, my younger sister's bisexual. I know a pansexual fellow out of Alabama. I don't judge any of them for that. That is their preference. That is their choice. I'm not going to judge them. But they understand my point of view as well. Because it's a respect thing. I understand their point, and I understand my own. They understand their own, and they understand mine as well. So we have mutual ground by literal conversations take place. No voices raised. Right there. They understand that I see them as their biological means, but I do not judge them for what they call themselves. Now, here's the fun one for you. How many of you would actually sit back and have a conversation with them? Just a conversation. How many of them would actually have a conversation with you without fielding some form of discrimination? It's like white on black. Well, I hate to tell you this. I don't see a difference. It's like saying the N-word. The N-word automatically gets you banned, right? If you're white. But if you're black, it's perfectly okay. It's just a dang word. Now, to me, I was always taught if you had the hard R on it, that was something that was referencing an ignorant individual. And if it had the at the end, that was referencing a friend. Someone close. Someone like a brother. Now, we all know that they're derogatory words nonetheless. But then again, calling a male a cracker, a white male a cracker, or a honky is pretty much saying the same thing without the N-bomb in it. Alright? But if we keep teaching discrimination, nothing's going to change. Because there was a preacher, I don't know what school district this was in, but I saw a short of it on YouTube, and then I watched a video. Now, if I can ever find it, I'll post the link below. But that man literally went off on the fact that they were not teaching the triumphs. They were teaching the persecution. So right there, all those kids who had been taught by those teachers were always taught about the persecution. They weren't taught about the respectable ones who earned their way. White and black who fought for black rights. They were only taught the suffering of the black people. Now, hate to tell you this, but slavery's been around since before the Bible, and it concerned a lot more races than just one. In fact, I'm pretty sure somewhere out there in the world today, there are still slaves out there who don't get the free say. But then again, in corporate America, if you have an hourly paycheck job, you are a slave from the time you clock in to the time you leave, or the time you quit. Because you're on someone else's time getting paid for it. Now, I know that these topics may seem a little dark, but these things have been weighing on my mind for a while. Why are we not changing? Because at the rate we're going to get decimated in the next World War. Because there's going to be very few people who's going to stand and fight, who's willing to go fight. So then you're going to send people who are not willing, who are afraid to fight, who are going to die rather quickly on the battlefield. So we need to change our view set. We need to come together, work together, strengthen our borders, and do what needs to be done for our future generations. So if you made it this far in the video, I do apologize if anything I said was offensive, but those are just personal views. Our views may not align, or they may partially align and diverge. Either way, these are just an opinion, nothing more. My own personal observation. Hopefully it might help open your eyes to one of the many issues going on. I plan on doing future streams or videos such as this that will go into deeper detail about things that I have had an opinion on, but I haven't been able to really speak about. So, with that being said, y'all be safe. Y'all have a nice day. And let's be an American together.